So we might as well rip into this week's game, go in order of when the games are. Start at Friday night, Orange Theory Stadium, my favourite regional stadium name in New Zealand. Crusaders playing the Reds. Crusaders have got a pretty dominant sort of record against the Reds. They've won 9 straight, and last time they played was that 63-28 win in Brisbane last year, where I think
Wonga went crazy.
It was him, generally, him and his best. So plenty more, but yeah, it's hard to sort of give the Reds much hope in this. So Crusaders opening up 18.5-point favourites. What sort of side do you reckon you're leaning on that point start there, James?
Yeah, it's quite a tough point start, I thought. Obviously, no Mwanga. He's got a fractured finger. Should be right next week. But I thought Fergus Burke was awesome for them last weekend. So he gets another opportunity. I'm probably going overs. I think this game might blow out late in this game. Expecting a big game from the Crusaders back three. Even like George Bridge, All Black incumbent on the bench, can't quite even get a starting spot. But as from a coaching perspective, it's always quite hard when you're playing the same team the following week, potentially, or more than likely, in the quarterfinals. So it'll be interesting to see how much they hold back, what sort of plays they look to set them up for the following week, and how much the result matters in this one.
Yeah, it looks like Crusaders have named probably without Mwanga, probably their strongest sort of team they've got. So they've got Jordan, Reese, and Whanganuku in the backs, back three, Havili and Enor in the centres. Fergus Burke. Yeah, on Fergus Burke, I was sort of like, I think one of the reasons I got on the Drua last week because I wasn't sure how Fergus Burke would go, but I was playing against the Drua, but you can only sort of play what's ahead of you, and that was definitely sort of the most impressive I've seen him in the Crusaders jersey. And they've gone with that, back through of Grace, Blackadder, and Matera as well. Whitelock, Barrett in the locks. So strong team. And I think you're right. I can kind of maybe see the Reds sort of putting up a bit of a fight, but I think the Crusaders will run away with it late. Maybe one of Patch's favourites. Oh, he's 11-20. He might even be 21-30, I reckon. Just a few other stats. 5 of the last 9 wins the Crusaders have been by 18.5 or more. And the average winning margin in the last 6 in Christchurch has been 21. So the line's probably, I don't know, maybe, just about right with Crusaders without Mwanga, I reckon. Crusaders haven't been great at home this season. They've only covered 2 of their last 7 and obviously lost 2 at home as well. But, I think I'll probably be leaning on the side of on the minus in this game. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I think so too. To be fair, the Crusaders really don't have too much to play for. They can't catch the Blues in first place. And the Brumbies are 4 points behind them. So, and as you say, they probably don't want to give too much away because they're probably going to be facing up against the same team next weekend. So, even though it is 18.5, just the way the Reds have played this year.
No, I think Noah Connor for the Reds as well, which is always a big out. So Lawson Creighton's playing 10.
They have been disappointing for mine. So if I'm leaning one way, I'm leaning the Crusaders minus 18.5.
I think the Reds sort of they've probably been the biggest or one of the biggest disappointments this season, I have to say. Head up to Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, sunny Lautoka at Churchill Park. Chiefs and the Drua taking on. So Chiefs opening up, I'm not sure what they opened up as, but they're currently 15.5-point favourites against the Drua. We sort of mentioned before the Drua sort of threw out a bit of a second string side against the Crusaders last week, and they've named a much stronger team this week. In front of the home crowd, James, backing the Drua to sort of keep it tight.
I'm backing them to keep it tight initially, but I do think it will blow out in the back end of the game. 15 points, a couple of late tries. I'll probably still be going the Chiefs unders on that one.
Yeah, the Chiefs sort of looked to really click last week, after a couple of disappointing performances, and it'll be warm, I'm sure, there, but it should be good conditions for some good rugby. The Drua they haven't got a great record covering the spread. They've only covered 2 of the last 7, so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I'm sure they'll get a big crowd in. Our host and friend Patrick Jones might be in the crowd. So
he'll stick out.
He'll be
his wavy blonde hair.
Wavy blonde hair.
Yeah, you'll know him.
It'll be good to see. The Chiefs, they haven't actually been the most reliable sort of betting team this year. They've only covered 3 of the last 9. So we'll see. But yeah, what do you got a strong take on this one?
I think the Chiefs in the end will be way too good. If I was going to have a bit of a sort of a bet outside the square, I'd be tempted to take the Drua to lead at halftime and the Chiefs to win. I think with that home crowd support, the Drua will come out on fire and they might score early and hold on until halftime and then just get run down by the Chiefs. So, yeah, the half full-time double, Drua Chiefs, is one that I don't mind at all.
I don't mind that. Would have come through in the Highlanders game, I think. Were they were up at halftime then, were they?
Against the
Drua?
Yes, I think they were. Yeah.
Drua were up, yeah.
Yeah.
It's with. I mean, there's no Chiefs team yet, but they do need to sort of win this game if they want to have that home quarterfinal. So I imagine they'll still be naming a pretty. Oh, did you say there is a Chiefs team, James? Or
I know it. Retallick's back.
oh, is he? Huge news. There you go.
So he's
we get all the good oil from Jay.
All
We
the
get the great oil from
exclusives.
Jay. Nankiville on the wing. Tupira at 12.
that's
We've
right.
got there we go. We've got 3 of the
Right.
Chiefs team already.
Yes, from there. Would you say it's a pretty strong team?
Yeah, that is pretty strong. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Minus 15 and a
minus
half.
15 and a half. Yeah, I think so. I think that. I mean, I'd love to see the Drua proper fight, but it's been a long season for them. The Chiefs will be wanting to. They've been slowly getting these big names back, and it should be too good.
It guarantees them 4th place. The win guarantees them 4th.
Yes, it does. Yeah, they're on 41, and I think Hurricanes on 38.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Cool. Later on Saturday, Moana Pacifica versus the Brumbies. Moana Pacifica like the Drua. It's been a bit of a long season, and it might be a pretty tough sort of final game for them. The Brumbies, from what I see, have named a pretty close to their strongest team. Got basically a full strength back line, and then mix it up a little bit in the forwards. But I think the line's 18.5. But this one could get ugly, I reckon. Oh.
Yeah, as we say, the Moana Pacifica have struggled against the set piece all season long against teams, and the strength of the Brumbies is the set piece. So I'm tempted to get on McInerney to score a try or two.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they just look just far too strong across the board, and it'll be a struggle for Moana Pacifica right from the outset. I think the minus 18.5, I think, is you got to slot that into any number of multis you might have this weekend, because the Brumbies just look way too good for this Moana Pacifica side.
James, so here you've got a little bit of goal for us for power play in this game.
Yeah, the Waterloo power play sent through. I haven't got the odds back on it yet, but the Brumbies hookers, so the starting hooker and the reserve hooker, because never know when that change is going to happen. But both of them to combine and score more than 3 tries or 3 or more tries. So I'm with you. I think they're their set piece. They're happy to just kick the corner, score off the rolling mauls. There's nothing fancy about their game, but they are very, very efficient at it. And I think it's the best maul attack against the worst maul D. So
yeah,
I think they're just going to hammer them there.
I don't know if there's a stat anywhere, but yeah, the amount of tries conceded from rolling mauls from the Moana Pacifica team, I mean, they must be averaging a couple a game. You know, the Blues scored about 4 in one game, and Highlanders did about the same. So
it's been tough for them.
Yeah, I love that, James. I think I'll be. I don't know what the price will be, but I'll be having a little nibble at that one for sure. And also for the Moana Pacifica, they've got the quick turnaround as well. You know, they played on Tuesday and last Saturday, last Friday. So yeah, it'll be 3 games in 8 days. So yeah, I can't see this ending up too well for them. Probably the match of the round next. Waratahs Blues. Waratahs currently 1.5 point underdogs at home. They opened $3.70 in the head-to-head market, and that's come into $2.05, I think. So obviously people sort of realizing that maybe the Blues won't send their full strength team.
I think they're favourites now. I think they're into $1.70.
Oh, really?
The money's come
for
them.
So it's happened since, I think I wrote that down last night.
Tars $1.72, Blues $2.05.
Yeah, wow. the money's really come. The Blues lineup, I think, must have got through to the bookies, but it is a very weakened lineup. So
and I think that was I think it was Monday morning the odds came out, and then by Monday at 10 o'clock at night dropped considerably from that starting point of 370. So, if there's any punters out there that got on at 370, well done to you, because you're
well ahead of
probably
the
get a nice little cash in and then already, you know, like with the odds, the way they moved.
Ride it the whole way.
Can the Blues still get this one, or do you reckon they're just going to throw out their B team games and just looking forward to next week?
Yeah, it is their B team, and they're definitely looking ahead to next week. But it's a good opportunity for some of these guys who have trained all year, haven't had much of an opportunity. The Blues haven't rotated their squad like the other teams have. They've been pretty set and building combinations, and they've kept their back line pretty much the whole way through. So it's an opportunity for these guys who have been training really hard to show what they can do and sort of earn contracts for following years or a starting spot if there's any injuries. And I guess there's one opportunity with Caleb Clark out with for the next 3 weeks for someone like an AJ Lamb to really put his hand up and cement a starting spot for the next 3 weeks heading into these big matches.
Do you have any word on is Rico back next week? Do you know?
Unsure about Rico, to be honest.
I think I sort of saw they thought maybe he'd be back by first week of finals, but
yeah,
it was so good. So
they could probably
got pretty good.
They got enough depth to cover for him even in the first week of the playoffs.
Yeah. So actually, So like I just had a look at the stats for this game. It's 3-3 the last 3 in Sydney, but the Blues have won 6 straight overall. The Waratahs have covered 7 of the last 9 at home this season. And 12 of the last 17 is home underdogs, 14 of the last 20 overall. So the against the spread stats definitely
they're darlings.
Yeah, but now they're probably -1 favourites, are they? Or,
-1.5.
-1.5 maybe. Yeah. So interesting. I think that the Waratahs probably got nothing to lose. They'll really want to win this. They still are in the hunt for that 4th place. If magically the Chiefs and the Hurricanes lose, so they'll want to come in with some confidence. So yeah, I think Waratahs. I liked them I think when I first looked at the market, it was 220. I missed down the 370 myself, but I didn't mind that a little bit. And then to hear they've come in even more is quite juicy. Later on, midnight, everyone will be staying up for this game, I'm sure. Beloved Hurricanes playing the Force over in Perth. Hurricanes 17.5-point favourites. From what I can tell, these two teams have met 9 times, and the Canes are 9-0. And the winning margin on the last 4 games has been 37, 22, 35, and 29. So, definitely a matchup that the Hurricanes have dominated. 7.5, is that too many points, James, or you're jumping on the Hurricanes?
I thought is it 17 or 7?
Maybe it's 7. Maybe I've written that down wrong.
I thought it was 17.
No, 17.5. Yeah.
Yeah, 17.
Yeah.
I think it's a niggly point start, that one. I think the factor that the Force are also having to travel from New Zealand on a Tuesday night to get back there sort of takes a travel advantage of that they usually get playing at home. I think the Canes have named a pretty strong lineup, so I think they'll just cover that, but it will be close. Probably won't be betting on it.
I just had a look. It's actually 15.5 now, so it has moved a little bit.
Couple more points
last night, so yeah, makes maybe a little bit more comfy.
Now it's definitely under 50. They'll cover 15.
I used to be on the bench this week, Paul. Paul, last week you were very clear about no Artie, no cover, and the Hurricanes still managed to cover. You happy with the 15.5? Hurricanes playing in Perth?
Yeah, no. Oh, crikey. He's on the bench as an insurance policy. If the Force actually put a bit of a fight up, Artie will be on to sort things out. So, what is good to see, Dane Coles and Owen Frank starting in the front row. Obviously, they haven't had a lot of game time at all this season, so they're probably a couple of players who really do need to get some good minutes into them before we hit the playoffs. So it's good to see them. And I thought the scrum improved immensely when Owen Franks, and I think it was Muffy Lau came on against the Waratahs. They really, it did show a huge difference. So I think Owen Franks, for mine, is the most important person in the Hurricanes heading into the playoffs. We already know what we're going to get from Artie. He's the strongest player in the Super Rugby competition. He's the fittest player and he's got the biggest ticker. So we know what we're going to get from Artie. We know what we're going to get from Geordie. What we need is that set piece to be as solid as a rock.
Yeah.
And I think that all revolves around, firstly, Owen Franks and then Dane Coles as well. So hoping to see a good performance from both of those players and from the set piece from the Hurricanes against the Force. If we see that, then that 15.5, that won't be enough.
Yeah.
It won't be enough. But the Canes will just be happy to get out of there with a win and no injuries.
Yeah, well, the Canes have been pretty bad on the road lately. They've only covered one of their last 8, and 4 of their last 13 as road favourites. So look into that. Take what you want. They're obviously not the most reliable road team, but I think they're coming right at the right time. They've named a good team. I see Morgan's at 10 again, so yeah, he must be their preferred choice. Would you rather see Ruben Love or someone else at 10, James, or are you happy with being impressed with what you're seeing from Adam Morgan?
No, I think Morgan's done a really good job when he's been given the opportunities. And like you said, I think they've kept him there for maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks now. So he's obviously the one they've chosen to take them through to the finals. So another opportunity for him to get some time in that driver's seat, because as a 10, you just want to be playing consistently. And when you're chopping and changing all the time, it makes it hard. And you sort of, hard to keep bossing that side around when you're in and out and not feeling that comfortable. I think after seeing him there for 3 or 4 weeks, he looks really comfortable there now. So, back him in to take them all the way up the Canes.
Yes, up the Canes. Especially on a team that, as we said, seems to be changing their backline every week. The fact they've sort of, really, really committed to that is good to see. Ruben Love might be able to sort of, I don't know, either give one to fullback or as a sort of utility off the bench and make some impact. So we'll see. But yeah, I think with that game, it's always hard backing the Hurricanes as big favourites, but especially on the road. But I might just be doing that. We'll see. Final game of the round, Sunday afternoon at Amy Park. Rebels versus the Highlanders. Highlanders 7.5-point favourites here. The Rebels have actually won 2 of the last 3 and against the Highlanders, and 2 of the last 3 was the Highlanders in Melbourne as well. So a few stats to go the sort of Rebels' way, and the Highlanders obviously playing with their with Marty Banks at 10 with no Gilbert, and I think sounds like Hunt's still out as well. Plenty to play for the Highlanders though. They if they had won last week, they would have probably sent a BC team over, because but they do need to win this. Well, they'll know, I suppose, by the time of the game whether or not they need to win it. Whether the Force sort of beat the Hurricanes, but they will be naming a pretty strong side, you imagine. It's a hard one to pick. I just sort of I feel this could go either way. I feel that Rebels could even sort of pull off an upset, but the Highlanders could win by 20 as well, making this statement. You've got a strong lean one way, Paul?
It depends on the result of the Canes Force game. I get the feeling that if I'm the Highlanders, I'm doing what the Blues are doing, sort of thing. I'm resting a few players if the Force lose the night before. But outside, there's not a lot to play for. They've got 8th place locked up if the Force lose on Saturday night. So what do they do? They go out and put their top team on, so they come into the playoffs with a bit of momentum and risk someone getting an injury or possibly a red card.
Surprise.
It's a tough game at the moment. It's a tough game to pick. I don't think the Force will win on Saturday night, so I think the Highlanders are safe in 8th place. So then, what do? I guess I don't know.
Can you sort of change your team? You probably know more, James. Like, would they, if the Force did lose, or presuming the Force lose, the Highlanders, are you sort of able to change your team a lot like that, or like once you've already named it, or?
Nah, they won't be changing their team like that. It'll be too late. But I think they've got more important things to worry about. I think they need to put in a really good performance for themselves leading into these playoffs games. The last thing they want is guys getting pulled out last minute and rested for the following week. These guys need to be playing, and They need a little bit more confidence heading into what's going to be an extremely tough matchup against the Blues next weekend. So, I think they'll cover this point start, to be fair. And, I'm expecting a relatively good performance from them.
Yeah, they do. They would have been gutted about that game last week. They were sort of coming right at the right time, and they were coming in with some confidence, and then just to have that sort of that hit, and kind of from that red card, they never really were in it. I think the Waratahs even had a yellow card to themselves, but they weren't able to capitalise at all. So, I hope they put on a good performance. From what I can see, there's no Highlanders team yet. Do we have any inside knowledge from you, James? Is Marty Banks playing 10? Or I did see there was some talk of Aaron Smith going out to 10.
Marty Banks is at 10, yeah.
Aaron Smith, that will not happen.
I think that was just Paul Marty in the office. Do the TJ on the pity. Yeah, you'd love to see it. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think I'll be on the minus that game. I think the Highlanders will put on a show, and they'll want to sort of kick in, come some confidence.